What is up, Retro Maniacs? My name is Mike. His name's Joe. His name's EP, and we're here to talk about cards. I have a little bit of a quiz for you two this week. I have 5 burning questions for sports card collectors. I was thinking about sports card collectors. I thought about you guys for some reason.
I have no sports cards behind me whatsoever.
This is true, but you're the only two that show up to do these shows every week.
True.
So
that's true.
I have a few. I can lend you a couple, Joe, if you need some.
Yeah, EP has plenty down there. Okay, so let's get right into it. My first question: what factors make you decide to grade a card, and what is your main reason for grading it? Joe, you can start us off on this one.
Well, we kind of made a joke on the pod that it went from me being the guy who graded a lot to now passing that on to EP because he's the guy that grades the most now. What am I looking at when I grade a card? Like everyone's going to say, well, obviously centering and corners and all that stuff. I think that goes without saying. I'm looking at potential value of the card after it's graded to see if it's worth it. Chris Sewell, by the way, does a great series on this where he will take a look at a few cards, see if it makes sense to grade, see if it makes sense to keep them raw. And he makes some really good points. So if you're looking at a card specifically, first off, see what it would sell for raw, depending on what it would sell for in different grading levels, see what the value you could get back if it makes sense with the fees. How quickly do I need it back? I mean, if it's something that, I said this a couple of weeks ago, if you're not first, you're last, right? If you need it quick on the market, maybe go with SGC. If you can wait for it, it's a long-term thing, maybe go with PSA if you're just looking for that investment side of it. But as someone who doesn't grade, I kind of want to defer to EP here. He's the new grading king of the channel.
I mean, for me, I watched a little victories. Joe, we both watched little victories, and one of his videos. It wasn't a reveal video; it was a different kind of video. I don't know if this is like one of his just a question, something like that. But he said at one point, one of the things that he gets asked about is how do you find your PSA 10s? Like, how do you find cards to grade? He's like, well, the first step is don't sell your PSA 10s before you get them graded. So, like the bottom line is, if you have a card that you think could be a 10. Regardless of value, like that should probably as a card you should consider sending in. Maybe you send it in with an order with a bunch of other like higher end cards or whatever if it's a low value card. But the bottom line is if you want to get more 10s, send in more 10s. Send in more cards that can get 10s. And so that's the big thing. Obviously, like that's the three of us use this hobby to pay for the hobby. And so if you're going to be doing that, like grading has to be a part of it, in my opinion. Like you're really like, in most cases, I think grading has to kind of be a part of that to really maximize some value of some cards. Even like, again, lower end value cards because of the ridiculous amount of money people are paying for 10s right now across the board for pretty much anything. Even like Pokemon, like base Pokemon cards and stuff, they're paying like $30 for a base card as in a PSA 10, which is it's mind-blowing. But I think you have to consider that when you're looking at cards, especially if you're using the hobby to pay for the hobby. As far as like personal collection stuff, I have my basketball card collection. I want to get a graded rookie card of every Hall of Famer who has played while I've been watching basketball. It's kind of like a collection, like a little thing that I want to do. Other than that,
a side quest.
Side quest.
That's exactly what I was thinking in my mind.
But other than that, like as far as getting it graded for your personal collection, you don't have to do that. If it's something you want to get graded, like I should probably grade one of my 1999 Griffeys. So I'd like to have one graded. It'd be kind of cool to see I have it in a case and encased. And if I ever want to display it, which eventually sometime I probably would because it is one of those cards, like that's the card I want to kind of have in a graded and kind of like put aside. So
again, this is different than how you were a couple of years ago. You have, and we've kind of switched roles a little bit in terms of grading. Another quick point before I forget it, because you made this point. If you're going to sell something, it makes sense to have it graded too. If you don't want to get caught up in someone saying, "Oh, this raw card you sold me is not what you are projecting that it should have been. I'm going to try and return it." It saves you hassle in a lot of cases. Now, if that hassle is worth $15 to $20, which is generally what something costs to be graded, that's up to you to make that call. But yeah, it can, and you've made that point before on the pod. And I just wanted to get that in quick.
Yeah, I look at it like a convenience fee on a lot of cases, just because I mean, can not deal with it.
All right. Question number 2. What are the pros and cons of ripping packs of cards versus the pros and cons of buying single cards?
That's a good one.
EP, you get to go first on this.
As somebody who opened a few packs of cards back in the day, specifically 1999-ish, in that range, 90.
So all of us, you're describing all of us right now.
Right. The thrill of opening packs will never get old. I can open stuff now. The 2024 Metal Avengers, that again, that's $1 card, which is like, that's something I would be like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. But I mean, it is still fun to open it. You're not going to get your value back for it, but it's still fun to do. The problem is you're never like, there is almost no way you can get your money back on most of the stuff that's out there right now. I feel like flagship and big league, like you might be able to get close to what you pay, but you're also not paying very much. So there's not a lot of, you're not going to make a lot of money off of it, even if you hit some of the big stuff. Like if it like an actual like product type hit in those cards, and as like Mike said last week, like that's none of us are ever going to hit that card. Like you have to expect to never hit that card. So I feel like opening packs is a lot of fun. But if you are trying to really build an awesome collection, if you're really trying to, even if you're trying to make money in the hobby by flipping cards and build your bankroll to afford the better cards, buying singles is probably the way to go. It just makes more sense. It's just, it's like, you know what you're getting, as opposed to playing that, rolling the dice, playing that lottery, whatever gambling saying you want to use for it.
Let me throw a sub question in here though. What if you're a set collector?
The thing is, like some sets you just can't build them because like if you try to build, if you really like I say a flawless set or natural treasure set, you still can't buy boxes. You got to buy singles. Yeah. If you're talking about low end stuff, like boxes is the way to go, I think. And if you buy like 3 boxes of like Topps Flagship, 3 boxes of Topps Archives, again, they're more expensive than they used to be. But if you're a set builder and you want to, that's a really fun way to build a set. You don't have to buy a case for a lot of those sets. And I feel like that is definitely in a case where I would want to buy boxes. Like the Topps Flagship this year, I've said on the podcast, I love the design. I want to kind of put that together in a binder. I think it'd be really cool in a binder. And so we're looking to buy like 3 boxes of that. Is kind of where I'm at right now. So,
Joe,
I'm gonna answer your sub question first. If I'm a set collector, I'm just gonna buy the set. Because it's so hard. I know people like to build sets, but if you're building sets, build a set from 1975 or whatever, where you can go to a card show and look at people's dollar and quarter boxes. If you kind of want to build it, and I get that. If you have like a handful of those cards, it's like, oh, I don't want to buy it. I kind of want to build it myself. I get that mentality.
That's how some people enjoy the hobby, though.
That's how some people enjoy the hobby. Absolutely.
They're set builders, not set collectors.
Right.
So they do like to rip and put it together themselves.
Someone gave me a set of Picard season 1 because I didn't open up any of that myself originally. And then I ended up buying a case of it and I opened up a few boxes and I put a set together. I'm actually going to put that set, take the other set out of the binder and put the set I opened in.
Of course,
because I opened it.
Yep.
Of course I am. So I get that. But the other question or the other point about that sub question is if you want to build a set, just buy Rittenhouse products. You get a set in every box and you never have to really worry about it. So there's another check mark for Rittenhouse. As for buying boxes versus buying singles, I actually enjoy some content creators when they do this. They'll buy $1,000 box of cards and then take $1,000 and see what they could buy just in single cards. And guess what wins every single time? In terms of enjoyment, in terms of value. Yes, you're never going to get the value out of opening up a box. You just never are. Mathematically, you never are. Could you hit enough to get 50%? That's a good box. Our buddies Silver Sports, they talk about this all the time. If they open up a case of cards, they're hoping up 1 box is worth it. Not the case, the box. So, I've quoted Spidey Hits a couple of times. Once you break the seal, the only thing left is a good time. When you're opening up a box of cards, that's how you have to think about it. And especially with sports products, because that's the roughest. That's absolutely the roughest. If you bring it back to non-sports, it actually might be cheaper and a little bit better depending on the non-sport to open up the box, because some of the boxes are only 100 to 150 bucks, and you can have that, the enjoyment level just takes you a little bit higher than it would be just trolling eBay for some single cards. And the upside is definitely there. So again, this is me just saying, just buy non-sports and we won't have this problem. But I kind of feel that way with sports cards, though. No, definitely take your $1,000 or whatever and go buy singles, because chances are there's not a boat in that box. Am I ready, P?
Well, I was just gonna say one thing. Like you could win the lottery if you buy a $1 ticket. Like that's the bottom line. Like that's what we're talking about right here, right now, right? Like that's the bottom line.
Yep.
All right. Next question. You're going to need to get out your crystal ball. Not an easy one here. What do you feel will be the next big thing in card collecting? Joe?
Why do I have to go first for this one?
It's your turn. Totally random.
What's going to be the next big thing in card collecting? Oh, I'm going to take it negative, because I always do. Let's take it negative, right? The next big thing in card collecting is there are no sealed products, and you just buy everything online. Could that? We're seeing it now. We're seeing Topps now. Panini Instant did it for a little while. Everyone dabbled with the NFT thing. How long before, because when you say next big thing, I don't think you're talking about something, a cool new product next year, like 1 year from now. Because Bob Booz was going to hate this. I make the Seinfeld reference a lot with the toilet paper thing. You know, how much has toilet paper really changed from when it first came out? Sure, they have, quilted and 2-ply and things like that, but toilet paper is toilet paper. Card collecting, for the most part, unless something massively different is going to happen, is always going to be card collecting. Until it's not, until you can go and just pull the stuff off pull the stuff off of Topps website, and it's all Topps Now cards. It's all lottery. I think the next big thing is so far in the future that we won't have to worry about it, but it's going to be just buying whatever card you want directly from Topps, and then there won't be packs and cases out there.
I'm gonna my answer is gonna be an addendum onto what Joe said, because I still think boxes and cases are going to be a thing, but the only way you're going to be able to get them is through breakers, through the breaking thing. So yes, you can order your Topps Now cards or your Panini Instant cards through the company directly. But if you want boxes and cases, I got to go through the breakers, who will become you can buy a case or a box to open yourself, or a case to open yourself, but you're gonna have to go through all the breakers to do it. Like they're gonna just funnel everything through the breakers. And that's how you're gonna. So that's how, like, the local shops that you go to, they're gonna have to get if they're gonna buy their boxes, they gotta buy them through the breakers.
The new would be really happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was a really tough question, and I think they were decent answers there for that. Surprised nobody said NFTs. Aren't they supposed to be the next big thing?
I did kind of allude to NFTs. I said they tried the NFT thing. I did bring that point up. So.
Because who doesn't want a picture of a card instead of an actual card?
Let me just talk. Let me riff on this for a second. I'm the youngest at 44. I have no fucking clue what an NFT is. Someone has tried to explain it to me several times. I watched John Oliver trying to explain it to me. I cannot get it. I don't understand it. It literally, can I just not take a screen cap of the card on my phone and say, look, I have this?
But you're not one of those bros. You can't. The thing is, you can't sell that, though. The problem is the bros all want to buy the NFTs so they can sell them to each other to get rich, to make themselves richer. That's the thing.
All right. Next question. Yep. I believe this is for EP.
Correct.
What makes a card truly rare?
Interesting. I mean, there's different layers here, right? In my opinion, rarity is the Honus Wagner. Like that, in my opinion, that is like among the rarest of rare collectibles in the world. There's only a handful of them available. I don't know what the exact number is, but I think it's like under 20 that are known to exist. The issue with today's one of ones, which we've talked about ad nauseum, is there are so many of them, and we're not just talking about like the different select one of ones. We're talking about select one of ones and Chronicles one of ones and all the other really tops, superfractors, all that sort of stuff. It has to be something unique. I think the Black Finites in Prism, or I think they're the ones that are like kind of considered to be the top one. So maybe that kind of works. And then also the superfractors for top stuff are kind of like but I really feel like the only real one of ones are like the rookie debut patches, which Topps is doing. We'll see what happens to them in the future. Maybe we'll be getting multiples of those in sets in the future for each individual player. Who knows where that goes? And then, like I said, the one of ones from back in our days, which were like they're not making any more of those. And so if there's a one of one in certain set, like a Foot Tradition, I think some has like some one of ones in some years. So that kind of stuff is a one of one. I would put more value on that as opposed to a lot of the one of ones that we see around today.
My hot take. You ready?
Oh,
you ready for my hot take?
Yeah. Let me get ready.
Nothing ultra modern is rare. Nothing. I don't care if it's 1 of 1. I don't care if it's 5 of 5, 10 of 10. Yeah. I mean, the way EP was starting to describe it a little bit, I'm like, I need to go further. I need to go further and say nothing ultra modern.
What if somebody put a ping pong ball in a card?
Here's the thing. It's only half a ping pong ball. Where's that other half going is what I want to know.
Good question.
Bet you that's going to get cut up into a bunch of little pieces and be made an out of 10.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No.
Nothing ultra modern, nothing from a certain point. I can't point to what that point is. 2017, 2015, maybe. I don't know. But something to a certain point, I can no longer really consider rare. This is my personal benchmark of what I would consider rare. I put stuff on eBay watch list, like where you get the email, right? And eBay will say, oh, something popped up that you're looking for. Here's an email of those things. And you get those emails every morning, like 2 a.m, right? 3 a.m, they come through. And the next morning I'll grab my coffee. I'll sit there like I'm reading the USA Today back in the day, and I'll be going through and scrolling. I can tell if something is rare if I don't get that email. If I never get an email for certain cards, it's rare. If it's not coming up, if it's not available. Now, yes, sure. Oh, but you just said ultra modern isn't rare. This 1 of 1's never going to come up. I'll tell you what, a card that looks exactly like it with a slightly different shade will. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something truly, truly hard to get. That if you put in Luka 101, we just talked about Luka on the pod, in your eBay search list, you're going to get an email every day. You're going to get an email from eBay every single day. That's not the case with a lot of other cards. If I'm not getting that email from eBay, that means that card is not coming out very frequently. So when I do, I'm like when I go like this, when I see my email, like, holy shit, this card's available. Like, that's rare. That's rare.
Okay. Final question, Joe. What is the biggest mistake you see collectors making nowadays?
I was really worried this was going to be, what is the biggest mistake you've ever made in your life uncard?
Don't want to know that.
Jesus, Mike. Why start with me on that one? Biggest mistake I see card collectors making today. And by the way, Mike did not give us these questions ahead of time. Nope. So if there's a little dead air, I want you to know that we're actually like, it's kind of computing. Like I'm trying to not dead air as I'm trying to think of it right now. I'd say go watch our 5 dumbest things collectors do video. It was very popular for this very reason. I mean, there's a lot of mistakes collectors make, but I think the idea that this is an investment, I think overall is the dumbest thing. Well, it's not. I'm sorry. The worst mistake collectors make is the question. I'm going to get in my head about our last video. But the worst mistake collectors make is thinking that cards are an investment. Yes, there is an investment side to it. But if that's all you think it is, you're going to make a lot of mistakes along the way. You're going to buy something in the moment. By the time you get it to you, guess what? That player just tore his ACL or threw 3 interceptions or whatever. Or you just sold something and that player just threw 5 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. I mean, using cards as an investment to me is just a massive mistake. That's why we said last week, I think it was, collect what you love, collect what makes you happy, because if you're just using this as an investment, it's going to be a massive mistake.
And the odds are definitely stacked against you.
Right.
Like it just from that standpoint, there are other investments that you have so much less risk in than cards.
Yeah. But Mike, the reward isn't up here.
Yeah, and
it's only here.
And those people don't tell you about the 100 losses they had. They tell you about the one win they had.
Yep.
That's like YouTube content in general is why you have to be careful about it, because people love to tell you, even social media, they love to show you the big hits. They love to tell you how much money they made on something, but they don't tell you all the ones they lost money on. So if you go into investing, you have to count the losses. They take away from your profit. So yeah, I like that.
And that's why Jeff Wilson let us know the revenue he made, not the profit he made from Cards HQ. Keep that in mind, folks.
That was true. All right, EP. Sorry, I butt in there a little bit. But
it's all good. It's all good. So my answer, I mean, my answer is Joe's answer, like the concept of it, but I'm gonna make it real. Like I'm gonna give you a real life example, and that the bottom line, in my opinion, still to this day, is buying Panini hobby products or first off the line products. And again, I know that Topps has some higher end stuff, but they also have flagship and everything. They have some stuff that's available for lower amounts of money. But Panini, if you're like $1,000 for a prison box, like the amount of money that you're spending, your chances of getting even a third of what that box is worth, it's because you're thinking like Joe just described. You're thinking, well, if I can get that one card, that's going to be the card. It's going to vault my collection, or it's going to vault my life. That is literally what you think when you pay $1 for a Powerball ticket or $2 for a Powerball ticket. Like that is literally what you're thinking. That is not investing. That is gambling at the highest level at $1,000 a pop. And just that in my opinion, like that's the biggest mistake, is still thinking you can get those Panini products. And again, I my heart goes out to football fans and basketball fans, because if you want the best, if you want to get the coolest, best products from those sports, you have to spend $1,000 or at least $500 probably. I'm not sure what Absolute and some of those go for, but you have to pay that amount of money to get these cards of these players that you want to get. So that is in my opinion, I'm just taking Joe's concept and kind of like making it a real thing. Like that is the biggest problem for me.
I would love to see a content creator go buy 10 hobby boxes for $1,000 and then go to a casino and spin a slot machine 10 times on $1,000 slot machine and see which one has a better return. I guarantee putting your money in the slot machine is a better return than buying a hobby box.
So I shouted them out for good and for bad a couple of times. Loot Box has actually done this. He's gone to the casino, and I want to say you're right, Mike. I will disagree with one thing, EP. It's not like buying 1 or 2 lottery tickets. It's buying 1,000 lottery. It'd be going to a convenience store and saying, give me $1,000 in $1 lottery tickets to hit the Mega Millions. I mean, that's what you're doing. There are low-end Panini products. The problem is the stuff you get out of them isn't good. And I don't know if there is low-end I don't know if the flagship return on investment is good, because I don't open up baseball. I assume it is. EP, you've done it before. There are low-end ones, but it's low-end stuff that no one really wants. If you want to get that boat in a box, you have to spend at least $1,000. And I think your best point, EP, in that whole thing was first off the line. That is such a sham to me. Like some of the first off the line exclusives, it's Keith Byers in a different color parallel. Yes, you could pull the Jaden Daniels first off the line exclusive numbered to 5. 5 people will pull that, maybe. Right? You're not one of them. Just don't assume you are.
And how much first off the line is being printed? It used to be very limited. Like how much is it being printed now? There's probably way more than it was 5 years ago, right?
Absolutely.
So much more. Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Let us know your answers in the comments, because we like to hear your feedback. I'm interested to know what you think, but I think that was pretty fun little exercise there.
Yeah.
That's all I got for you. I got to catch a plane. I got to get out of here. So I'll see you guys next week. Take care, guys.
You don't fly. See ya, boys.
See ya.